What's up guys, welcome back. Today, it's been a while since I've talked about whiskey and especially American whiskey. So this week we're talking about George Dickel. George Dickel started back in 1870. That's 150 years ago at least. He started making whiskey in Cascade Hollow. It was a coffee neighborhood back then. He started making bourbon whiskey and Tennessee whiskey. The reason why they don't have an E on their whiskey is because they create very smooth whiskeys that they would like to be compared to some scotches and things in Scotland. So that's why they don't have an E in whiskey. In 2018, Nicole Austin took over as the general manager and the master distiller. It sounds like she has just done a lot of really cool things and whatnot. I honestly am a big fan of distilleries with a woman master distiller just because I think there was a study done a while back. If somebody knows the study, women actually in general have a more refined palate and a more refined nose than men do. So having a master distiller that's a woman, I feel like that's just gonna impart better flavors and more complexity into their product. That's just my personal opinion though. This is their number 12. This is, I believe now it's called their signature recipe because they have moved into having age statements on their whiskeys as well, which I think is pretty cool. So this I believe is their signature recipe and it comes at 90 proof and it is 84% corn, it is 8% rye and 8% malted barley, which I believe technically would allow this to fall under the category as being a bourbon, but it is a Tennessee whiskey because they do, I believe, go through the Lincoln County process. From what I found, all of their whiskeys get chilled to 40 degrees and then charcoal filtered. That apparently imparts more smoothness, so there's gonna be some interesting flavors in there. Let's give this one a try. Been a long time since I've had bourbon. This is a nice one. Or American whiskey for that matter. Zing's about what you would expect for 45%. Yeah, it definitely has those bourbon flavors on the nose. You get a nice like caramel, raisin, corn, kind of butter brittle, a little bit of that little circus peanut candies. They're like fake banana flavored. You get a little bit of that, but not as much as something like Jack Daniels. So this is a sour mash whiskey and I can kind of tell. That basically means that after the fermentation process, they reuse some of it into the next batch, which brings a little bit of a sour characteristic and you do get a touch of the rye in there as well. It's bringing a little bit of a sour flavor, but not much. The main flavors you get are gonna be that corn, caramel, some raisin and fruity notes, like some deep dark fruity notes, and maybe a little bit of cinnamon and just a touch of chocolate on the palate. A good cocktail for this, since this is such a standard, like nice style bourbon, I would use it in any cocktail you would use a bourbon in. However, on their website, I did see, I believe it's called the Cascade Signature Cold Brew. So I went down to Walnut Street Coffee and got some cold brew to make this cocktail. It's basically like a cold brew tonic, or if you've ever had an espresso tonic, it's pretty similar to that, except you add bourbon to it, which I thought was a really interesting combination. It's pretty good, it's nice, but me liking to customize things, I decided to then use Scratch Distillery's coffee liqueur, which they also get their beans from Walnut Street Coffee. So I used some of that and some lemon juice to kind of pump it up, add a little bit of sweetness, add some tanginess in there. And then of course I added the lemon peel on top as well, just to get some of those essential oils in there to add a different type of lemon flavor along with the lemon juice. Let's give this a try. It's good. Okay, so it's really good. However, I would go a little bit heavier on the coffee liqueur and a little bit lighter on the lemon juice because the cold brew and the tonic water already have some kind of tangy notes in them. You don't need as much extra lemon juice as you do sweetness to balance all of that out. So I think adding a little bit more coffee liqueur, a little bit less citrus would be really good for this cocktail, but honestly, really darn good. I think that's a pretty good cocktail. A good price point, I think if you could find George Dickel's signature for around $25, I think you're looking at a really good deal. I like the flavor profile of it. It's just kind of straightforward bourbon flavor. And I think that's really nice. I like it. It's easy to use in a lot of different things. So I think that's a really good one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace. That was a horrible pour. I just poured everywhere. At least I can get it back in the bottle okay. All right, let's pour an actual pour.